Morning traders, welcome to a new trading week. It's Joseph here from Eightcap, and this is a weekly outlook, and we're going to go over some of the key news that's coming up this week and just look at some of some of the main moves we've seen, some of more interesting charts. I'm not going to run over everything. It's going to be a little bit different. We're not going to have two separate videos. We're still going to roll them into one, so we'll try and make sure this video doesn't go for too long. But yeah, this is going to be checking out some of the key moves on some of the charts and some of the key news. So we'll start with some of the news that's coming out, and we're just going to run over the high impact news. So this is the Eightcap economic calendar that we have available for our clients. So key news really kicks off on Wednesday. So we've got CPI coming out for Australia, looking at 3.5%. This is going to be pretty key to see if the RBA does, if the pressure does continue to push the RBA towards a earlier rate cut than was first expected. And then we will have New Zealand interest rate decision coming out and statement coming out as well. 5.5% is what's expected for that rate decision. So on to Thursday, we have GDP coming out from the US looking at 3.3%, and retail sales coming out from Australia looking for 1.7%. We also have German retail sales and GDP coming out from Switzerland. So moving into moving into Friday, we have a little bit of data coming out. So CPI coming out from Germany. We have that core personal consumption expenditures coming out from the US. We also have Canadian GDP coming out as well, and there's more data there as well. So we also have durable goods coming out on Wednesday, so for the US, and core durable goods. So we haven't seen that for a little while as well. So one can check that one out as well. So we also have some Chinese data coming out as well. So manufacturing PMI, non-manufacturing PMI, Kaisen, and then we have more data coming out from the EU, and so it's consumer prices are coming out as well. And to end the week on the Saturday, we have a bit of US data coming out, which is the ISM manufacturing PMI, and we also have non-manufacturing PMI coming in. Sorry, we also have revised UAM consumer sentiment coming out as well. So there's a couple of things coming out this week of interest, nothing really too major. Core PCE will be one to look at from an inflationary point of view. The Chinese data as well should be a little bit interesting, but I think Chinese stock-wise, things are sort of more stabilized than they have been. The property market's still obviously in a really bad way, but there's been a lot of talk about the Chinese government's propping up the stock market. So they've sort of seen a bit of a lull in terms of some of the selling we have seen. So the other one really locally for Australia is going to be that CPI data that's coming out, and it's on the Wednesday. I think traders will be quite interested to see how things come in CPI wise, and then if it's going to put pressure on the RBA to get rate cuts going earlier than the market might be expecting, and also the New Zealand cash rate as well on Wednesday. So moving into some of the markets, we're looking at stock indices first, so we can see some really amazing moves to finish. Last week we saw new moves into records. It was pretty much across a few of the boards, and we can see the French 40, for instance, and the German DAX, and the US markets as well. A lot of new records were created, and Nasdaq got very close, but it just missed out. But we can see that the SPX 500 put in new records as well last week. So the ASX obviously is not up there either, but it has got a higher low. But there's a bit of an issue with the ASX right now, and that's this area here at 7701. There's further resistance here at 7678. I think the CPI is going to be quite important this week for the ASX, just to see if the buyers can get motivated again. We should expect a nice move up if CPI drops quite nicely. If it does come in as expected or higher than expected, we could set up a bit of selling coming through. I think there is a lot of speculation about that about rates and how that's going to affect the ASX. So the CPI could have a fair bit to do with that. Some of the other indexes, so the Hong Kong 50, for instance, we've seen this really nice rally continue, came all the way back up to 16,900. This is after we saw some pretty big lows put in not too long ago. And another market that has also been really in the headlines at the moment, I don't know if It's probably not a normal one that most Australians or people trade, but it's definitely one to keep an eye on. And it's the Nikkei. The Nikkei has continued to rally firmly with pretty good conditions around the yen and other business activity that's been helping guide momentum. And we've seen the market come up and hit new records. 39,625 was hit on CFD market, and it's pretty incredible considering just how far it's been moving. So we just have a look at this trend on the weekly and just see how nice that trend is and how long it's been going. This section here just alone, which has done real damage in terms of hitting new records, has put on 52%, which is quite astounding. And it's gone back up to those levels not seen in over 30 years. So definitely a market to keep a bit of an eye on whether you're trading or not. And we've seen some really good moves, and we are wondering how much further it has got to go. And this all comes down to wells with the yen, but we'll touch on the dollar first. So the US dollar last week put in a pretty good low, and it's bounced back off that low. We still have a fair bit of resistance. It's not the cleanest looking chart at the moment, but we can keep an eye on it this week with that GDP data coming out and some other bits of data coming out, just to see if dollar bulls are really serious about things this time. There still remains a pretty mixed message from the Fed in terms of rates, and from recent comments are saying they're in no hurry to really put them down anytime soon. They're going to need some pretty good reasons to start cutting rates, which is fair enough in terms of that, but from a speculation point of view, we just continue to see a lot of demand picking up from this level here below, really the 104 area and below, and when down to 103.84, we're seeing a lot of demand there. So will we see a new push forward and an extension to really capitalize on this support and demand that we're seeing? We really do need to see this trend get back on track. If that does happen, we could see continued pressure mounting on risk currencies. So far, they've been able to continue to push up. We have seen a bit of a capping on the Aussie, especially above this level at 65, 66. Similar story on the Euro, for instance, where anytime the market sort of gets above that 1.0830, we see sellers coming into the market all the way up to really 1.0875, and the pound as well. It's a similar story, but a little bit more healthier. So buying is there's a lot more pressure from buyers pushing upwards. So you can really just see this area at the moment, 1.2675. We're seeing a lot of selling there. So buyers really need to break that. But I think what it comes down to now is, does the dollar rally or does the dollar decline? And just looking at that chart here, it does look like it's in a bit of a 50-50 stall position at the moment, where it has got a lot of underlying support below this level, but there's not much demand above 104 at the moment, with selling continuing to push it down once it gets back up to that 104.15 area and up again here at 104.35. So it really needs a catalyst to break it out or push it lower, and then we'll see the mirrored effects on the risk currencies to that move. So the Aussie yen and some of the yen pairs, they continue to push higher. We can see a break above this high. The euro as well, it's been having a really good run to the yen. The pound has broken out above that previous level of resistance here, put in a new high, has broken it and continues to trade higher. And the dollar yen as well, so we can see buyers continue to push higher, but we haven't got back up to test this resistance yet. So we saw one test at 150.77, but it didn't get much more than just a higher price for the session, and then we saw a pullback. So that's really the resistance we need to see broken. But we do wonder if we do see any moves back up into the 151.5 area, is that going to guide the Bank of Japan's hand in terms of intervention and start capping some of those gains? So if that did occur, look for some selling on the Nikkei as well, with the yen being pushed. If the yen was being pushed higher again, that does eat into the profits with exporters. So now moving on to metals. So metals and oil. So we saw gold finally has started to continue to see some points. Saw a bit of after that move down, we had a rally, but then we saw a bit of consolidation form. But we had a really nice session to end last week with a nice move back up to test 2041. So this could be a mini breakout. We need to give it more time to see if it can continue to push up. It really needs to break to 2056, a break at that level here. and that would be a pretty good sign for buyers. We do see a fail, a break above this, below this level here, 2016. That would be a bit of a worry for buy momentum as well. Maybe sellers are starting to come back into the market. The dollar will have obviously something to say in this move. Normally does, unless they do decouple from each other. Silver as well had a strong day. You can see a nice strong move here. Resistance remains up at this area here, and palladium fell. I was seeing a little bit buying at this stage here, but it did fall, and other metals as well were firm. Now, just to touch on oil, oil continues to really seesaw. This level remains a key resistance, around that 78.80 area. As long as that area stays in play, we're seeing a lot of issues for buyers. No real commanding motivation to get above that level or break it, and that's a real worry at the moment for oil. So as long as that level remains in play this week, we'll look to see maybe if sellers can start saying a little bit more, but we have seen a snapback here at 76.54, so we could just see price continue to trade in that area. We really need a break at this level to get the market going upwards, and if we do see a break over this area here, it could set off a new move down, maybe to test a little bit deeper. Now, cryptos, we will touch on a couple just quickly, and Bitcoin remains in a holding pattern. We can see support down at 58.12. I can see resistance here at 52.114. Ethereum had a fantastic session to end the week. It broke all the way back up into the 3,000. So buy momentum really continues to push hard. This could be coming back down to any dreams or ideas about an ETF around Ethereum. We did hear as well comments that Ethereum would be the last crypto to get an ETF. So that is an interesting comment. Maybe we want to hold forward into the future. If we do see Ethereum do get an ETF, could we see others as well fall through? BNB has been another firm crypto. We saw a nice test higher, breaking above the previous high last week, and ADA and a few other main coins are just sort of in holding patterns. So Ripple, for instance, as well. So I think some of the key ones continue to move higher, but we're going to see if we can get momentum to carry through to some of the other coins to start setting up some moves higher, or if we're going to see holding patterns or new tests lower. For, darlings of previous last year, for instance, Axie and Sol they've been rallying nicely, but they have been susceptible to big sell-offs again. We can see two here, and they are struggling to find that long-term drive higher. And we'll continue just to see if they can find some of the momentum again, but there is a lot of selling coming in at these sort of higher areas here. So it is a little bit interesting situation, but we'll continue to see if these trends can march on. And just looking at some of them on the weekly chart, you can see they're still looking pretty healthy. So not too much worries here, as long as they don't break below previous levels of key support. For instance, with AvaX down here at 32.03, Ethereum and Co are just continuing to do what they're doing, pushing higher. And Bitcoin, you can see, is just up to that really strong couple of weeks, is just consolidating at this stage in time as well. So Ripple, just to touch on it, it still continues to hold above this key support. So you really want to see 40.4812 held for Ripple, but there is a lot of resistance here on the weekly now at 0.57. So it does look like it's in a bit of a stalemate right now. So that's some of the key markets and some of the news that's coming out this week. I think the dollar is going to be quite interesting this week, and just to see what happens with that. The Aussie as well, with the CPI coming out, and the ASX. So just finally on the Aussie. Let's move this over. So yeah, just with the Aussie, just to see if what that CPI does to it. If we do get a lower high coming here, or if we do just continue to see buyers hold, if we do see another push up to break some of this resistance. But I think the dollar will have a bit of a factor there. Stock indices are a bit of a key one this week. Are we ready, or are we getting close to a point of pullback? And we've been seeing a lot of highs being put in. If the dollar does continue to march higher, we're going to see that. But if it does continue to decline, we'll still see new moves higher to push into fresh records. So stock indices will be a key one this week. Gold as well is just starting to get a bit of movement going, and oil, the key resistance really remains the price cap at the moment to the upside. So we doing updates throughout the week. Thanks very much for your time. Definitely check out some of our other presenters, and if you have any questions, feel free to send them off to us. Otherwise, I wish you all the best for your trading this week. Thanks very much for your time this morning or today, and bye for now.